On May 6, 1978, a heavy-set Chicago contractor in a dark suit walked into a Democratic fundraiser at the Polish Constitution Day parade and shook hands with Rosalind Carter, the First Lady of the United States. His name was John Wayne Gacy. He was 36, ran a successful construction company called PDM Contractors, and was the Democratic precinct captain for Norwood Park Township, a quiet suburb on the northwest edge of Chicago. In the photo, Rosalind is smiling politely. Gacy is grinning ear to ear, wearing a special S pin on his lapel that the Secret Service had given him as a trusted volunteer who'd passed their background check. That clearance came through in the spring of 1978. By then, at least 29 young men were already buried in the crawl space under his ranch house on West Somerdale Avenue. To his neighbors, Gacy was the guy who threw the legendary summer block parties, Hawaiian-themed, roast pig, hundreds of guests. He catered them himself and refused to let anyone help pay. He'd already survived one scandal. In 1968, down in Waterloo, Iowa, he'd been convicted of sodomy on a teenage boy and sentenced to 10 years. He served 18 months, moved back to Chicago, and started over. Nobody in Norwood Park knew about Iowa. They knew the guy who plowed driveways for free, who hired neighborhood teenagers for his construction crews, and who showed up to every JC's meeting with a clipboard and a joke. In 1975, Gacy joined a local clown club called the Jolly Joker Clowns. He invented two characters. Pogo the Clown was the happy one. Patches was the serious one, the kind of clown who'd come visit you in the hospital. He sewed his own costumes. Baggy polka dot suits, ruffled collars, oversized shoes. He taught himself the makeup from a library book, painting on a stark white face with red lips that curled into sharp points at the corners. Real clowns are trained never to paint sharp edges on their mouths. It scares kids. Gacy did it anyway. As Pogo, he performed at children's birthday parties, charity fundraisers, and the pediatric wards at local hospitals. Parents booked him months in advance. He never charged a dime. One day, talking with a neighbor about the costume, he said something that didn't register at the time. He smiled and told them, "A clown can get away with murder." The complaint started in the mid-70s. Guests at the block parties mentioned a sour, rotten odor that seemed to drift up from the floor vents. Gacy blamed broken sewer pipes, then a dead rat, then moisture in the crawl space. He even spread bags of quicklime down there. His employees on the construction crew, mostly teenage boys, dug trenches under the house for him. He told them it was for drainage. On December 11, 1978, a 15-year-old named Robert Piest finished his shift at a pharmacy in Des Plaines, Illinois. He told his mother, who was waiting outside in the car, that a contractor wanted to talk to him about a summer job. He'd be right back. He never came back. His mother sat in the parking lot for 2 hours, then drove to the police. Lieutenant Joseph Kozenczak caught the case. He found out the contractor at the pharmacy that night had been John Wayne Gacy, bidding on a remodel of the drugstore. Kozenczak ran the name, and the 1968 Iowa conviction popped up. He put Gacy under round-the-clock surveillance. For 2 weeks, plainclothes officers followed him to restaurants, to job sites, even to a drugstore where Gacy bought them coffee and invited them to dinner. On December 21st, a detective walked into Gacy's house with a second search warrant and finally went down into the crawl space. The smell hit him immediately. He saw human bones sticking out of the dirt. The Cook County Sheriff's Department brought in cadaver dogs, anthropologists, and shovels. They tented the house and started digging by hand, sifting every cubic foot of dirt. They pulled out 29 bodies. Most were teenage boys and young men, ranging from 14 to 21 years old. Many still had ligatures around their necks, or rags stuffed in their mouths. Gacy confessed in pieces over the next several days. He said when the crawl space filled up, he started dumping bodies off the I-55 bridge into the Des Plaines River. Divers later recovered 4 more there. The final count was 33 victims, killed between 1972 and 1978. At the time, it was the largest number of murders attributed to a single American in U.S. history. The house was demolished in April 1979. The lot sat empty for years. When a new house was finally built, the address was changed so no one would ever have to write the old address on an envelope again. Gacy was convicted in March 1980 on 33 counts of murder and sentenced to death. He spent the next 14 years on death row at Menard Correctional Center in southern Illinois. On death row, Gacy started painting, oil on canvas mostly, skulls, the 7 dwarfs, Jesus Christ. And over again, self-portraits of himself as Pogo the Clown. He sold them through the mail. A signed Pogo self-portrait went for anywhere from $200 to $10,000. Collectors lined up. Galleries in Chicago and Los Angeles held shows. The families of the victims were horrified. In 1994, after Gacy was executed, a businessman named Joe Roth bought up 25 of the paintings and held a public bonfire in Naperville, Illinois. Family members of the dead took turns throwing canvases on the fire. It didn't stop the market. Surviving paintings still trade hands today on auction sites, sometimes for tens of thousands of dollars. When the crawlspace was emptied in 1979, 8 of the 33 victims couldn't be identified. Dental records didn't match anyone reported missing. They were buried in unmarked graves with numbers instead of names. In 2011, Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart reopened the cases. He had the unidentified remains exhumed and sent off for DNA testing, then asked anyone with a brother, son, or cousin who went missing in the Chicago area in the 1970s to submit a swab. Thousands of families wrote in. Within a year, they identified William Bundy, a 19-year-old construction worker who'd vanished in 1976. His sister had been waiting 35 years for an answer. 2 more were identified over the next decade. James Hawkinson, who was missing from Minnesota since 1976, and Francis Wayne Alexander, who'd left North Carolina for Chicago in 1975 and was never heard from again. 5 are still unnamed. Their remains sit in evidence storage in Cook County, waiting for a DNA match that may never come. John Wayne Gacy was executed by lethal injection on May 10, 1994, at Stateville Correctional Center. His last meal was fried chicken, French fries, and a pound of strawberries. His last words reportedly were, "Kiss my ass." The photograph with Rosalind Carter still exists. She had no idea who he was. Neither did the Secret Service, the JCs, the kids at the hospitals, or the families on Summerdale Avenue who ate his pulled pork every August. He was for a long time exactly the man everyone wanted him to be.